Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulation on PC with Ryujinx. Yesterday we talked about Yuzu's progress report, and today we got Ryujinx's progress report. Now we're just going over this at a high level, and it's well written and there's a ton of information in it, so I do recommend checking it out and I'll drop a link to it in the description below. The first thing they talk about here is Luigi's Mansion 3. So there has been a ton of work done on rendering for Luigi's Mansion 3. If you do play this game with Ryujinx, you should notice the shadows, for example, are rendering a heck of a lot better. There was even more GPU work done. For example, this is Cocoon before, and here is after thanks to GPU improvements. On top of that, there were a number of optimizations this month. For example, this one here, which I think is one of my favorites. If you've got a Steam Deck or a battery-powered device and you use Ryujinx, you may like this one here. They say here the real gains can be seen on battery-powered devices such as the Steam Deck. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, while simply sitting on the character select screen, has its power consumption cut from 15.8 watts all the way down to 9.1 watts. Almost a 50% reduction. Now they do state they don't expect this lower power consumption to really directly translate to raw performance improvements. However, in terms of battery life, I would argue that this is a really nice thing. Here's a nice quality of life update. Ryujinx has added the ability to create shortcuts to individual games. And for those of you using the Avalonia front end, you can switch the aspect ratio directly from the bottom bar. And on top of all of that, the development team has fixed a whole bunch of different bugs and they continue to refine and improve Ryujinx. They had a pretty big month and I can't wait to see where they go next. Next up, we're still talking about Nintendo Switch emulation, but talking about Yuzu, Ryujinx, and Super Mario RPG. Super Mario RPG was just released, has received a whole bunch of great reviews, and a lot of people are wondering if it's currently working in Yuzu or Ryujinx day one. The answer here is it's currently working in both, kind of. It's not without its faults though. There are some audio desync issues, there are some crashing issues, and there are going to be some improvements here. Be patient, emulation for this game is not perfect just yet. Next up, we're talking about Half-Life, and if for some reason you haven't picked up this game yet, you may want to check out Steam. Right now on Steam in Canada and the US, the game is 100% off. It's 100% free, and that's all thanks to the 25th anniversary update. Now, for those of you who have already played through the game and already have the game in your library, it still might be worth revisiting here, and that's, again, thanks to that 25th anniversary update. There have been some very interesting changes here. The game now includes the Half-Life uplink, which was originally released as a CD exclusive for magazines and hardware manufacturers. There's 4 new multiplayer maps. There's updated graphics settings, including widescreen. There's now controller and Steam networking support, and they say here a proper gamepad config right out of the box. And yes, this game is deck verified. There's also UI scaling support for higher resolutions, and a whole bunch of restored content, including the old Valve logo and also characters from the alpha builds. And on top of all of that, there's a whole bunch more, and I mean a whole bunch more, including bug fixes and gameplay changes. For example, improved physics for throwing grenades, improved randomness for initial spawn points in multiplayer, and even more. This is an absolutely massive update. If you are interested in this stuff and have some time to go through the entire changelog, I'll drop a link to it in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. There's even some goodies here like wallpapers. And if you've got a lot of time on your hands, I'll drop a link to their YouTube video in the description below as well. It's their 25th anniversary documentary, and it's over an hour long. And speaking about long, next up we're talking about Linux. And if you use Linux and you value stability, you may be excited to know here that Linux kernel 6.6 just got the LTS treatment. LTS stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or long-term support. And this one will be supported until December 2026, the same time as 6.1, 5.15, and 5.10. Next up, we're talking about Calibre, which is a free and open source ebook manager, and it just got its first update in a year. It's now Calibre version 7.0. So the developers say the headline new feature is notes for authors, series, tags, etc. Calibre can now store notes with links, images, and rich text formatting associated with every author, series, publisher, tag, etc. The notes are searchable, browsable, linkable, and can be exported as standalone HTML files. In addition to that, there's a brand new recycle bin that resides directly in Calibre, so if you accidentally delete an ebook, it'll go to that recycle bin as opposed to your system's trash. There's also a few more features and bug fixes and improvements. I'll drop a link to the changelog in the description below. And last up here, we're talking about the Steam Deck, specifically SteamOS, and version 3.5.5 just dropped and has some nice goodies. So first up, the default color rendering for the Steam Deck LCD, not the OLED, has been adjusted to emulate the sRGB color gamut, resulting in a slightly warmer and more vibrant color appearance. And there's a couple of brand new options here, color vibrance and color temperatures. You can adjust these on your own in settings and adjust display colors. And in my opinion, this stuff is also huge. HDR can now be enabled in display settings if supported by the external display. And VRR can now be enabled in display settings if supported by the USB-C adapter. And they also improve latency in certain situations where the application renders slower than the display refresh rate. On top of that, there's been a number of bug fixes, including one that's been driving me nuts, and that's fixing the touchscreen orientation while the external display is connected. I've noticed this one quite a bit while playing BeamNG. Let me know if you noticed that one too in the comments below. And there's even more here. They added support for the Steam Deck OLED, which was completely expected. Also, external storage devices are now auto-mounted when connected to the Steam Deck. They've slightly improved sleep resume speed. They've improved the Bluetooth connection stability, especially with multiple controllers. They've improved graphics drivers with many performance and functionality improvements, including improved performance for Starfield. And on top of all of that, they've updated their Arch Linux base. They say this update pulls in newer performance, security, and stability fixes for the underlying packages that are the foundation for SteamOS. If you use your Steam Deck in desktop mode, which I do all the time here, you'll notice some improvements as well. A new window tiling system, an updated app store, and updated desktop widgets. And also Discover can now perform system updates from the desktop. Honestly here, I am loving this stuff from Valve. SteamOS is turning out to be one of my favorite Linux distributions. It kind of sucks it's currently limited to the Steam Deck and that's it, but at the same time here, Valve is getting every ounce of performance they can out of this Steam Deck, and they're not giving up on it. I commend them for this dedication to updating, optimizing, and making the Steam Deck way better than I ever thought it would be. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.